Why don't we have Elektra leading a whole group of hand assassins at this point? And where the hell is the dragon? I mean, come on, I know slow burn and all, but this is after episode 6. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Iron Fist. And I have to say, as much as I am still enjoying the series, I'm totally understanding this log. This is not what I was expecting, even after the complaints I heard. Like I said last time, I've seen adaptations, I understand that things are different, and I already understand that we have a whole universe we're building here. But at this point, I'm really thinking they're just lazy and don't understand how to write a villain. After Daredevil, we've seen hand assassins in movement. We know the mystical is there. We've seen that Elektra's the dark sky. We've seen Supernatural with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. Come on, guys. Why are we back to this? Why are we back to thugs and triad? It's like Marvel can't bring its A game when it comes to villains. But let's throw this up here and get started. So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. Episode 4 was the best so far. It picks up right where everything else left off. But what we have is we have Danny Rand back in control of his company, more or less. And we have Iron Fist doing the Iron Fist thing. Yeah, he doesn't have his costume that, I already know he's not getting this season. But he's actually doing some pretty cool stuff. And as far as the Iron Fist stuff goes, we have a fight with some triad. Now, the triad are coming after him, well, after the girl he considers his sister because of what she did. But now, here's the thing. We've seen Triad before. Triad should be throwaway villains. But these guys actually pose a threat to him. Not because he himself's in danger. Like I said with episode 3, there's no danger to a main character. We know that. This isn't Game of Thrones. Ha ha ha. But, at the same time, because the woman's there, he has to protect her. And we get what's pretty much the equivalent of the hallway fight and the elevator fight from Captain America Winter Soldier, all rolled into one. Well, he's trying to defend this woman, and it's pretty badass. And he uses the Iron Fist finally in a way right in front of someone, although she doesn't see it. And I'm starting to wonder about that. Why is it that the Iron Fist has become the Snuffleupagus? Why is it no one ever actually watches him use it and sees his superpower? Is there like some unwritten rule in their Bible that says, thou shalt not use powers openly on this show? I don't know, it just feels kind of weird. And we're still getting this weird thing with the father. I'm not quite sure exactly if he's supposed to be sympathetic or if he's the villain, but I know this much, he's against the hand, and that alone makes him a cool character. And of course, by the end of the episode, we have him kill the guy that punched his daughter. And yeah, that's a villainous act because he's, killing someone. But at the same time, you have to wonder, if someone hurt your little girl, what would you do? And all of this seems like it's such a great build-up. And then we have the fact that Danny's ready to move against the hand. And I'm like, yes, this is that uptick we've been waiting for. But then no uptick. For those of you that watched my Luke Cage reviews, you'll notice that I'm not putting up the titles for the episodes either. There's a reason. These titles aren't as cool. But episode 5 is another one of those just building episodes. And somehow I didn't notice this before, but did we somehow make it through this entire first 3 episodes without actually seeing that dragon tattoo? The actual Iron Fist mark? But okay, let's talk about martial arts styles and stupidity for a second. This scene gets a lot of shit online even before the series came out. He's wearing sneakers in the dojo, he's using the wrong fighting style for the sword, and everyone was up in arms. Why is he using a Chinese fighting style with a Japanese sword? Because they show the katana later too. Well, it all makes perfect sense in series, and this is where I want to just put a little bit of a warning up for all other critics out there. Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a series by its previews. In the series, the main character is obviously trained in Chinese Kung Fu and is using that. He obviously is trained more in a monastic setting and wasn't thinking about his shoes And when he plays around with the katana, he even gets told, use it like a Japanese sword, not a Chinese one. So, some of that's better. Now, we still have this whole thing going on where I'm not quite sure why we can't use the Iron Fist openly, and I haven't figured out exactly what's going on with Rand Corporation. Are they supposed to be the good guys or the bad guys? But we get the return of a favorite character. The Night Nurse shows up in this one, and ooh boy is she awesome in this. In fact, I almost laughed when I saw her. And jumping to the end, when Wing says, I know a nurse, she definitely does her little magic. I'm gonna fix things that no one else knows how to fix. But at the same time, Claire once again proves that she's the glue that holds this entire universe together. But to be honest, why didn't she drop any names here? Why is it that Marvel is so afraid of actually tying these all together? Why didn't she say something like, I need to call Matt, I need to call Luke, hell, I'd even settle for I need to call Jessica, because the hand is openly moving at this point. Which leads me to my second complaint. I realize that there are people who haven't watched Daredevil Season 1 and haven't watched the other shows, but was the big reveal at the end of this episode supposed to be shocking or a surprise? Did we not all realize what actress this was this whole time leading all of this? I mean, really? Okay. So, back into the main action. We have Iron Fist and Wing teaming up in awesome ways. And you know what? Once again, Wing shows that she just moves better than the actor that's playing Iron Fist. I don't know if this is a stunt choreographing problem or a casting problem. And no, I'm not going to bring up the whitewashing thing, but their casting director definitely needs a hand with a few other things too. Like, when you cast a younger version of a character, you should make sure that their hairstyle at least is basically something that looks like is going to grow up to be the other hairstyle. But the series is still going well, and I'm still liking the base concepts, so I'm not gonna fault them too much. I just hope that things are about to kick off. Come on, hand! Come on, hand! So episode 6 opens with a big badass moment, right? No. It opens up with narration, flashback, and Danny meditating. Seriously, how much meditating do they need in this? I also realize this isn't the Defenders yet, but why have the Night Nurse there? Why have everything come together where we could call everyone out? And, for God's sake, why is it that 6 episodes in, we haven't seen him punch the dragon to get his powers? I really feel like Marvel needed to hire an editor for this, and maybe this could be said about all of their Netflix series. We could have started at episode 2, at the end of episode 2 no less, cut out half of episode 4, and had episode 6 kick off almost into the Defenders. But instead, I'm sitting here looking at these episodes going, okay, so where's the hand? And to be honest, Hogarth is probably a better crossover than Night Nurse so far, because I understand where she's coming from. And as much as she knows about Jessica and the Purple Man, she doesn't really know about the hand. There's no reason in the back of my head for me to say, why isn't she calling Jessica or Daredevil? Unlike the Night Nurse, who totally should be on the phone right now saying, Daredevil needs to get here. Yesterday. I just think this script could have been gone over one more time to find some easy flaws. Speaking of which, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a publicist. But this whole video of Danny apologizing, along with the fact that the sister has this really big hard-on for wanting to help the people who are dying of cancer, since her father died of cancer, seems to me to be a really easy fix. And I thought of it in like 3 seconds, so I'm not understanding the problem. She said it back a couple episodes ago during the deposition. Even if you find that we were linked in some way, at the end of the day we followed all the laws, so your problem is with someone other than us. So here's what you do. You come out and you say, hey, Rand Corporation's a really good corporation, and we follow all the laws. But here's the thing. Maybe they have a point. Maybe they don't. I don't know. We're going to hire a whole bunch of investigators to see if there's a connection. And then, since we're really concerned and, our fathers died of cancer, we're going to totally help these people out. We can't pay their medical bills, we wish we could, but we could totally make sure it doesn't happen again. So here's that. once we find out what actually caused their cancer, we'll change it, even if that's beyond what the law asks us to do. Now, that's great PR, that's legally binding, and at the end of the day, it's not actually admitting fault. And think of how this plays not just to the public, which is a big thing, but to a jury. If the people continue to sue, you just stand up there right in front of that jury and you say, look, we followed all the laws, we are completely in the right, but we were still willing to investigate and see if there was anything we could do to stop this sort of thing in the future. These people are just being money grubbing at this point. And I'm pretty sure there's no jury in the world that's not coming back for Rand Corporation, especially if you put Danny on the stand saying, look, I want to help people. Or you put the son or daughter on who sit there and go, look, our dad died of cancer. I have a hard enough time imagining that the writer's room didn't come up with that answer, except they needed to keep the drama going of the case, that I can't believe that any lawyer worth their shit didn't come up with that, or publicist for that matter. I mean, come on, guys. This is like screenwriting 101. Get on the ball here. But to give some credit to the writers, they did write one of the funniest scenes when Danny gets into his car, which again, when did he have time to get his license? Wait, Monastery Boy's driving an Aston Martin? Yeah, I also had the fastest donkey cart in Shanglao. So now I'm left putting myself in the shoes of the other reviewers. People who didn't read the comic books, people who didn't come in going, ooh, I really want to see Iron Fist. And I understand how 6 episodes in, they're sitting there going, nothing happened. In 6 episodes, we've had barely any fight sequences. When we do, it's against normal thugs. To be perfectly honest, every time we see the Iron Fist, no one else sees it. Once again, it's Snuffleupagus Iron Fist. And there's no costume, there's no nothing. And, people can justify all they want, oh, well, the costume's silly. But it's really not. Not inside the Marvel Universe. Not inside the MCU. Seriously, we've already had the incident referenced. Danny Rand could watch a news report and be like, hey, wearing a costume might be a good idea, especially since I just got challenged by the Hand. Although, to be positive, another great scene was when the night nurse said, hey, wait a minute, I have more experience fighting the Hand than you do. And, I mean, point blank, she really does. Because, she's done a lot, especially in the Daredevil season 2. But I can't stress enough the missed opportunity we have here in 6 episodes. We have all this Danny meditating. We have some really kick-ass fight scenes in the pits. But you know what we don't have? We don't have Kung Lao. We don't have a mystical place full of mystical people. We don't have the idea of the living weapons really explored at all. And you know what? He got his power by punching a dragon in the heart. Seriously, how did we miss that in the first 6 episodes? By the point that we're only a few minutes left in the episode, I had honestly gotten to the point where I would have rather be watching something starring Night Nurse and Wing and maybe bringing in Misty Moon from the Luke Cage series and call it Daughters of the Dragon or Nightwing Investigations, whatever. But then the fight begins. The actual challenge of the Hand. And, well, the first fight wasn't that interesting. The second one definitely was different. Still borrowing heavily from Batman Begins, we have talk of who's the mask, who's the real person, and we have the fact that we don't know exactly what's going on. We also have the fact that the femme fatale poisoned him, which is a very Hand tactic. But, at the same time, we still have the same problem I've had from the beginning of this. He's not using the Iron Fist. He could have broken those knives in the first fight. He could definitely heal himself of this poison if he just channeled his ki. I'm not quite sure what they're doing, and why in a series called The Iron Fist. Once again, 6 episodes in, they're very reluctant to use the Iron Fist. I will say the challenge was unfair. At the end of the day, Iron Fist is suffering from the death of 1,000 paper cuts. While each one of the Hand members that he's fighting, although not all that great, are whittling him down slowly. Let's just do a quick recap here. 6 episodes in, we've barely seen the Iron Fist used, although it was finally in the final battle against the Hand, and Madame Gao is set up to be the main villain as the Hand, although barely. And to be honest, I think the actor was miscast as not, the whole whitewashing thing, but I honestly think that Finn just isn't capable of doing the martial arts badass enough. We have Colleen Wig being a much better martial artist because she can be shown in daylight fighting, where Iron Fist only seems to go into the dark. And part of that, I think, is stunt work and choreographing. We also don't really have a main thrust of what this season is supposed to be about yet. We do have some reoccurring themes: the idea of death of self, and about rising above and becoming something else, which is cool in the whole living weapon thing. We also have a reoccurring theme of drug abuse. We also have a reoccurring theme of daddy issues, but not like the create a stripper type of daddy issues, more like the I'm going to try to be better because I need to prove it to my dad. And like I said, we have Madame Gao, who was the worst kept secret as a secret villain ever. But we don't really have anyone for Iron Fist to fight. Yeah, she's badass. In fact, she, at the end of the episode 6, throws him across the room with just a thought, like she's a force user or something, and that's cool. But when I think Iron Fist, I think of him fighting, like, badasses. And for the most part, we don't have a villain. We don't have someone to point to say, hey, here's who he needs to fight next. And not quite halfway through the season, I think that's pretty horrible. This has been a slow burn. It's been like I compared it to at the beginning. This is the Batman Begins of the Netflix series. In fact, between the Am I Danny Rand or Am I the Iron Fist and the way he was trained, I wouldn't be surprised if I found out that Ra's al Ghul started Kung Long. But at the same time, we don't have a lot of living weapon stuff. This really feels like a story that was 3/4 done, needed a good editor to go over it, and maybe one or two more passes from the writers themselves. I think the direction is great. I think the actors are mostly good, although I do now think that Finn was miscast. I'm sick and tired of flashbacks that don't involve punching dragons in the heart, so I hope in the latter half of the season we get something like that. And most of all, I think that the Night Nurse is totally underused here. In episode 7, I hope there's a throwaway line where she even says, man, I wish Matt wasn't helping Luke down in Louisiana, or something like that. Because as much as I know this isn't actually the Defender series, this feels like a huge set. In fact, that's actually my number one complaint. People say the DCU is moving too quickly in the movies, putting people together. Well, to that I say this is the opposite. This is trying too much to duplicate what they did in the movies for the MCU. We're too slow. We're trying to introduce these characters in long, drawn-out 13-season episodes. We could have done Iron Fist as a 7 or even a 5-episode lead-up, and then boom, Defenders right now at this point in the season. But that's my thoughts. What are yours? If you've made it this far in my reviews, do you think that Iron Fist is going strong? Maybe you're farther along. If so, please leave spoilers if you're going to comment. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are and your ideas. And do you think that this was too slow of a burn? As always, I need to ask you to like, share, and subscribe to this video. But I'm really trying to build a community here, so I'd really like your thoughts down below. Because I want to embrace the idea of dissecting the stories and what works and what doesn't, as we walk through the heart of the stories we tell. See you back here after I watch the next 3 or 4 episodes. Have a good day.